Christina, please help me find a remote job because I am sick of the micromanagement here. To which I reply, ooh, we need to get on a call to talk because my friend, that is not how it works. So, one of the biggest myths, I think, one of the biggest myths out there that I'm hearing when it comes to remote work is that it is a way to get away from micromanagement. Um, I have seen many cases where working remotely actually can increase micromanagement. So today I want to talk about what actually changes when you go remote as someone who's worked remotely for 15 years for multiple organizations, right? Different leaders, different cultures overall, and what you should be paying attention to. Um, yeah, let's get into it because I want to make sure you're positioned for success before you accept a remote position. So let's chat. Micromanagement does not disappear when you start working remotely. As a matter of fact, I think it changes form. So instead of the hiring manager, instead of the manager, the leader, looking over the cubicle to see if you're sitting there and then looking at their watch to figure out how long you've been gone, you might get the, hey, Christina, are you online? Hey, you have time to jump on a quick call? Listen, not saying all of that is micromanagement, but sometimes got time to jump on a quick call? Hmm, I sent that message 30 minutes ago. Why haven't they replied? Huh, it's been an hour and a half since I sent that. You look at their calendar. Well, the time is open. They're not on with a client. They're not on with a candidate. All of that stuff. Listen to me when I tell you micromanagement does not go away. Here's what I think happens, and I'll get into this a little more probably later, but I think it's not every leader is equipped to manage a remote team. Okay. I think we need to stop assuming that because you are home instead of in an office, that somehow this manager, this leader is going to be less in your face, in your business, watching the clock. That's not the case. I think so many hiring leaders were forced into this space to where they have to manage remote teams. Not every organization started out as remote or remote friendly, I should say. And so, the technology has had to change over time. Leadership has had to be coached in many cases, and often they just haven't been, right? No, if you can manage in person, you can manage remotely. And I disagree with that completely. There are some amazing leaders who can lead teams, but you have to be there for them to do it, physically there, because otherwise they start spinning in their heads and they're like, well, where is she? Where is she? We started this Zoom meeting 30 seconds ago. Where is she? See, this is why we shouldn't have remote employees, right? And then you go into all that. So I was going to get into it later, but here's what I think happens that people don't necessarily expect to happen. Remote work amplifies management issues. Mm. hmm It to think about it. I don't want to step on toes, but I'm all about calling it as I see it. I think it amplifies management issues. So I talked about not being able to manage remote teams, but I think there's another side of that. And in previous videos, I've talked about the importance of the right hire, right? Hiring costs money, turnover costs money, right? And especially in a tight market where we're thinking about expenses on another level, all of that costs money. And when you hire someone you don't trust to work independently, what does that say about your skills as a manager, as a leader? What does that say? If you have hired someone that you absolutely feel compelled to watch like a hawk, what does that say about who you hired? What does that say about your selection process? Did you pick up on any of that during the interview? If not, what can you do differently? So I think I want management, I want leaders to own this part of it a bit more. So remote work removes the office. It doesn't change the management. Okay. Um, Based on my experience, I also think trust is earned differently, right? Because you don't have the face time necessarily, visibility tends to be lower. Early on, I need you to be present early on and listen consistently, right? I need you to ensure that your manager trusts you to do the job you are assigned to do. Trust you to, if it's answering, calls, trust you to be available to answer those calls. Trust you if there's a project, trust you to actually be working on the project, right? Trust you to meet the deadline for the deliverables. Trust you to attend the meeting on time. Trust you to be prepared for the meeting. They've got to trust you. And when you start to miss the mark on some of those things, what happens? Now you're forcing the hand. Now you're like, okay, it's the third time this month that they've been late for a meeting. Are they coming from another meeting? And that's what's creating the delay. Like, what is happening here? And I don't think it's out of reach, out of line to have a manager expect you to be where you are supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Maybe this person goes to the bathroom for the past 3 weeks every time before our meeting. So maybe we like, what is it? Why are they not where they're supposed to be? Because listen, yeah, let's have the honest conversation. There are people who work remotely who are doing 10 million other things. There are people who work remotely who are on, TikTok live when they're logged in to, work and they're supposed to be taking calls. They're on TikTok live telling you how to get a remote job. Hmm, I've seen it. And I think to myself, huh. And then we'll complain because the manager doesn't trust them to get their job done. The manager is watching them like a hawk. This isn't everyone. I'm just telling you, I've seen these situations. Um, Here's what I'll say. There are both sides to this thing. And I don't want you to walk into this remote space thinking that for some reason you are not going to be subject to some level of micromanagement. I want you to do your due diligence on the front end. I want you to ask the right questions during the interview phase. I want you to go with your gut. If something feels like, yeah, it's just not going to work with this manager, then go with that and move on, right? If not, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be online complaining about micromanagement and remote jobs. It doesn't go away. So manage your expectations, do that due diligence. And listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Some people are fine with micromanagement. Some people are perfectly fine with it. They're like, Christina, no, got the job, got a check coming in, got like, I'm doing it from home. You know, I have the volume up on my laptop. And so if they ping me, I can hear it, even if I'm putting a load in the wash. If the phone rings, I can hear it, even though I ran downstairs to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Do people even eat those anymore? Anyway, so point is, right? Or take your laptop downstairs with you while you make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich if you need to. I don't know. What I want you to do is understand that you have to ensure you are visible. And we are talking about six-figure roles here. I'm not talking about the $15, $14, although you have to do what you need to do there. I'm not talking about those roles. I'm talking about roles where you are actually expected to show up and deliver. Are you showing up and delivering? Okay. And then you're going to focus on what you can control. Yes, there might be moments when you are not available. You have got to go sit on the toilet for however many minutes to do whatever it is you need to do. You're human, and that is okay. Don't overthink that. Don't rush the system. Okay? Don't rush the system. Uh, do what you need to do and then get back to work. Those isolated incidents are not what we're talking about. You can't have to go do the work every day at the same time or always before the same meeting every week. If you have a standing meeting with your manager Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, you mean to tell me every Wednesday at 12:50 you find yourself in the bathroom for 15 minutes? What is that saying? Yeah, it could be saying a lot of things, right? Because anxiety can get the system moving. But what is that saying? I want you to think about it. I don't have the answers for you. I just want you to know that there are certain things you can control, and then everything else is going to be what it's going to be. And if it's not working out, then it's time to look for other options, right? Micromanagement does not blah, if I could talk. Micromanagement does not cease to exist in a remote work environment. There are cases where it's significantly more intense. And so please don't jump from the fire into the frying pan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what it is. I hope this helps. I hope this helps manage your expectations about remote work. I hope this prompts you to think a little bit about focusing on what you can control if you are already working remotely and it's not working. There are options. Market is tough, but it will always be tough. It'll always be competitive, especially in the remote space. So start pursuing those options. Put time on my calendar if you need to. I'll drop the link below for that. I just want you to feel empowered to do what you need to do for you, right? There you go. And if that means leave because the micromanagement is too much, then it's time to go. If this resonated, certainly hit like. I'd love for you to share. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you are watching this on other platforms, please go ahead and follow. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you soon.